Tell us about your dad, Mr. Branch. This tall, handsome guy, I've met him a couple of times. Tell us, what role did he play in your business?
So, right, my whole family, first of all, played a tremendous role. And I know that I did not address my son, and I have to get back to him. But my father played a huge role in our development and the women that we are, the kind of businesswomen that we are. Because growing up, before we ever got a chance to even think about business, my father talked about independence. My father talked about being free in your mind. My father came out of the civil rights era, so he witnessed people who made sacrifices so Titi and we all could be in a position of choice. That was so important to him. So he couldn't think of a better way for us to really exercise that and do that other than us being our own boss. We could be these independent women who were able to make decisions and choices, who were able to make a living for themselves, who was beholden to no one. And although he was a man, my father didn't want us to be really dependent on a man. So he would do things to try to liberate Titi and I. And you got to understand, my father was a ladies' man. So he knew the games that men played on women. So what did he do? He raised us as boys, and he put us to work. Scrubbing, spackling, painting, everything. And he wasn't just doing that to train us. He really needed the help. My dad did everything from drive a cab. He was in school. He went back and got his master's. He was a high school dropout. But, he led by example. And he created an environment for Tiki and I to really practice being these independent women because he didn't put the kid gloves on with us. He sparred with us for real. And when he said do something, he meant do it and do it right. And that training, I always say Titi and I didn't go to business school, but honestly, what we had was so much greater than business school. My father created an environment for us to make mistakes under his roof. He created an environment where we were able to spar with him. We had to fight with him head on, head up with our dad. And my father is a tall man. He was very intimidating to us growing up. So we knew that if we could pass his test, we could make it out here. And he was taught by a very independent woman, which was his mother. And he passed down those do-right values to us. And the independent spirit primarily came from him. And I'm thankful to my dad, and I know Titi was too.
And what about Faison?
Faison. My son Faison was born in 2000. And before Faison was born, I used to wear my hair straight. I want to look like my Japanese mother. And growing up, my mother reminded me of the woman on Soul Train. Chinese dancer.
Right.
And we felt like we had our own Soul Train Chinese woman. But my mother's Japanese, but I always thought that woman was Chinese. We had our own version of it right in our house. So when I was growing up, I didn't understand why my hair didn't swing like my mother's. My hair looked like this. But my mother had long, straight hair, and I wanted to emulate her, and I wanted to be like her. Didn't quite understand why I had the hair that I had, but I just wanted to emulate her. So when I was in my 20s, I did everything from straighten my hair with a hot comb to get a perm. But it was after I had my son that I could no longer maintain that look. And it was bath time. And I was giving my son a bath on the 4th floor in our brownstone that my sister and I had bought together, which was in the hood of Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. And the reason why I was giving him a bath on the 4th floor of our brownstone was because I wanted it to be that way. I wanted to be there for bath time. I did not want to send my son out to daycare. I knew I was going to be a single parent. The single parent female that was the real one. My baby's daddy didn't visit us. And I decided to embrace that. And I decided to be there. So I was doing hair in my house, with my sister beside me and my son upstairs. So if you wanted to get your hair done by Miko and Titi, you had to come to the hood. And when you came to the hood, you had to see my hair not look straight like Kimora Lee Simmons. You had to look at me looking like this. And this was a new look, because I do a really good relaxer. And what happened was, is I started to experiment, and I even put a curly weave in my hair to see, like, what would this thing look like? And I took it out and started wearing my hair and started cutting out the little bit of relaxer that I had. And that started a conversation. And when I look out at you guys and I see all your wash and goes and your double strand twists and your coils, honestly, back in 2000, nobody looked like us. Not in a group like this. Natural hair was categorized as maybe braids or locks, or if you really wanted to wear a fro. That was really the category, or that's what we understood natural hair to be. Natural hair for us who had a tighter coil curl was not considered a style. No one would even dream to walk out their house looking like this because we didn't know what to call it. What is that? But it was because of that time with my son Faison that started the conversation in Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn, doing hair in the house. And from there, we just got better at it and better at it and better at it. And there were no products to support what we were doing. So we had to bring it to our kitchen table like we saw our grandmother. And that was the start of our product. But if it weren't for my son Faison, if it weren't for me being a single parent, I would have never stumbled upon wearing my hair like this because I would have been good, right? I had all the time in the world to straighten my hair. But it was that life change that I embraced and everything that came with it. And that's why I'm sitting here today and I see so many of you that look like me. And I didn't see that before, so I thank myself.